Again, welcome to our first training session. Today, we're going to look at how to create your own content and share your content. It's going to be the first of many trainings, and it's with me and my friends. So tonight, I am joined with Sister Shireen and Brother Rob St. Cloud, who are no strangers to all of you. As you know, they've been serving well here at Calvary. Sister Shireen has been creating the amazing children's stories that we hear every Sabbath. And of course, we have our communications director, Rob St. Cloud, who is behind working with the clerks and behind in creating a newsletter that we read every week, and also creating some of the video content, the pastor's tribute as well. And with me, you know me, we will share some of what we know. So tonight is just to give you an overview and to give you an idea of where we are going, talking about 3 areas tonight. We're going to talk about scripting, equipment, and finally, effective ways of sharing your content. We'll recap this at the end, but starting in January, we're going to focus on 3 trainings for the first quarter. The first one in January, which will be the 3rd week in January, same time, Sunday, 6 p.m., we're going to focus more on scripting. Then in February, we're going to talk about equipment. And then finally, in March, we're going to talk about how to share effectively. Now, why are we doing all of this? We shared, and I shared this on Sabbath, YouTube is the number 2 search engine in the world, right after Google. 2.3 billion users are on YouTube. YouTube is available in 80 languages. And every day, 1 billion hours of video is watched on YouTube. So while you are sleeping, people are watching on YouTube. So what we want to do effectively at the end of this, we want you to be able to create content for sharing inside the church, as well as sharing with the world as well too. So we're going to give you all the tools and resources to be able to do all of this. So I'm going to stop the share screen, and we're going to have our panelists here and give them a moment to introduce themselves. We're going to point first to Sister Shireen. Go ahead, Sister Shireen.
Good afternoon, evening. What is it? I don't know what time it is. It's dark. As you know, my name is Shireen Walters. Welcome. Happy to see everyone here. Would you like me to tell them, Pastor, my background? I don't know.
Yes, please.
So some of you may know I work in a healthcare industry. I'm not clinical. I'm looking at Sister Carrie Ann Everett right now. I'm like, I'm not clinical at all. And I work under human resources. In human resources, there's a department called learning and development. What we do is professional development skills for all employees from anywhere in the organization, leadership all the way to staff, direct reports, anyone who works for the health system, actually. So it's really about soft skills. I like to call it soft skills because everyone forgets about them and they just look at the hard skills. What are the hard skills? The hard skills are what you come with, what we hired you for. But if you can be the best nurse or you can be the best accountant, but if no one wants to work with you, then that's a problem. So that's the area that I cover in the organization. So happy to be here.
There you go. Thank you so very much. And we have Rob. Rob, tell us something about you that you do on your 9 to 5, your 5-day daily grind.
Right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So as I was introduced, I'm Brother St. Cloud, Robert St. Cloud. So 9 to 5, I am an IT specialist. So I help an organization run smoothly from a technical standpoint. And in the process of that, I help end users with their technical issues day to day. I've been a computer user since I was about 10 years old, and I've been I've been throwing files here and there. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with the internet and the computer. So I'm happy to be alongside Pastor and Shireen sharing some information that I think will really change the landscape at Calvary. So we're excited to see what you guys do with the information, and we are glad to be here.
Exactly. Thank you so very much. So to open us out tonight, we're going to have Sister Shireen. She's going to come forward and she's going to share on scripting. And the way we're going to follow, she's going to present. Then there's going to be a Q&A section where you can ask questions. Then after that, we'll go into the next topic. And again, today is simply a teaser of the more focused, in-depth training that we're going to do in January, February, and March. So there we go. Sister Shireen, take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you. So what we're going to do, I'm going to share my screen. So that's going to shift it, as most of you have come familiar with, as the view of how you're going to see the presentation. Now, if you cannot see my slides, please let me know. So the first thing we're going to talk about is content. And what does that mean? Why do we need content? Well, with everything you do, you're going to be speaking. You're going to be sharing some kind of information or knowledge with individuals. And we want to make sure that it's formatted in a way that makes sense, that can be delivered to the audience that you would like it to be delivered to, and they take away what you wanted them to take away. And so tonight, I'm going to just give you a quick overview as to some of the things to think about and to look for when you're creating this content. So first of all, so what I notice is I see Pastor, I see Robert, but I don't see anyone else. And here's the first challenge for you. You're going to turn on your cameras. And that's one of the things when you're presenting that will help you, what I like to say, hook your audience, is when they can see you, when they can. So when you are on camera, you have to maybe practice ahead of time. Where's my camera and can the audience see me? Because that will take away too from your audience engagement and participation. That wasn't the work, like telling about your hobby and, telling your name. That's probably easy for you. You're probably like, guys, I got that. But the real work starts for when you're thinking about creating your content. It starts with, who is your audience? Who am I trying to target and reach with my information that I'm given? So you want to think about your audience first. And we're going to dive deeper into what does that look like? When you say audience stream, what are you talking about? The next thing I want you to think about is what we call in my industry, WIFM. What's in it for me? You might say, well, everyone knows it's about Jesus. That's what's in it for you. You need to be saved. That's great. But you also want to think about it when you're writing your content. What is it that you want your audience to take away? Because sometimes when I go to places and I'm like, what's free? I'm there if it's free, right? And so I need something for me. And so if you're giving us information, what is it that you want us to know? Sister Snell, I see your hand raised. Let me finish this slide. I'm going to come right to you afterwards. The next thing I want you to do is to think about the end. Many times you've probably gone to conferences or meetings and you walk away and you're like, what was that about? I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. So you want to think about when you're writing your information that you want to give out to your audience, what's the end? What is it you want them to do with that information? And then the last thing is the length. Now, I was telling you the first thing you did was 30 seconds because people's attention span seems like it's getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter as the years go by, but we don't want to use that to dilute our information either. So we want to be very careful. If it's a 15-minute presentation, then it's a 15-minute presentation. If it's 2 minutes, then it's 2 minutes, but you don't want to go over or keep spinning, over and over the same information. So when you put a time length around your content, it helps you to organize your thoughts in a way that will help you give the right information that you need out. The other piece that we're going to dive a little deeper when we talk in January is about your relationship with the audience. Yes, that's right. I said relationship. You want to build a relationship with your audience. You want to connect with the people in whatever way you want. And one of the best ways that in my industry that we talk about is storytelling. And, a lot of times people say, well, what I need to give them is hard facts. There's no stories around it. That's okay. You can start with a story. And that's the piece that you're going to be using to connect and bring your audience in. So for example, when we do our huddles in the hospital, we start with a patient story. Why? Because that's going to draw the anyone in, because now it's reaching their world. They can connect, whether, even if I'm not clinical, I have parents, I have children, I myself have been to a hospital. So you want to bring the story in to make your audience stay with you. And then if it's hard facts that you have to give it afterwards, then you do that, but you want to draw people in. And as you can see on the slide, you want to have characters or somebody in the story, right? You want to have a setting. Where did this happen? You want to build it up for people to understand it. Emotion. Do you want them to cry? Do you want them to be happy? Do you want them to be sad? Do you want them to walk away feeling, some kind of guilt? Whatever it is that you want to think about that as you're building your content. looking at your audience, using emotional words to connect with them will always engage your audience as well. So this is the deeper dive. Now we're in the deep end of the pool. There's a diving board. And so we're going to jump in the pool. Earlier, you just put your toes in. And what we're going to do, we're going to practice quickly making a story, right? And it has to start with there I was. All of your story, even don't say anything else other than there I was, and then you can start your story. Don't start your story. Say once upon a time at band camp. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear there I was, and then you tell your story. All right. So here's the format for it. So you're going to pick an event in your life, and you're going to describe it, and your story should begin with there I was. So you can see some prompt on the screen. There I was alone at the airport, or there I was surrounded by my family. So I'll give you a quick one, and this is really short because of time. And when you do yours, you have about a minute or two to tell me your there I was. And you're going to try to incorporate the characters, the plot, setting, and an outcome or what happened, right? So here's mine really quick. There I was at the airport with 4 kids, all in the age of 10. My husband and I were sitting there. He's feeding one. The other 2 were playing a game. And then one child raises their hand and goes, I have to go to the bathroom. And we're like, what are we going to do? And by the way, these were 4 girls at the airport. Our flight was about to board, and I had one kid who needed to go to the bathroom. So I'm ready to get this one kid to the bathroom. Then I heard, but I have to go too. And me too. And I'm like, how do I take 3 girls to the bathroom at once? And I'm panicking, and we have to hurry. And we were sitting in an area where if I was smart, we should have sat close to a restroom. Normally, maybe smart parents like yourselves would have done that, but I didn't. So we had to dash down the hall, way to the other end of the terminal, find a bathroom. And women, you know the line. There's a line. So here I am standing in a line with 3 girls who are all dancing. I have to go. I have to go. And I'm like, please, Lord, please don't let anyone pee their pants. Please, Lord, because the bags weren't with us. And I didn't bring it with me to the bathroom just in case. So here I am stuck with them. So we get into the bathroom. I have to find 3 stalls. I have to clean 3 stalls. I have to get all the paper. And I'm not going to go into the gritty details, but at the end of it, we were dashing back to my husband, who was finishing up feeding the 4th child, who was a girl as well. And we all packing up and running, and we caught our flight just in the nick of time before the doors were closed. That was my crazy story. And it was a true story. We were going to Florida to visit grandma. Okay, so that's my there I was. So you're thinking about the people in it, the setting, what emotion, connection do you want to make with us? Thank you so much, everyone, for participating thus far. Now I'm going to open it up just for I have a minute, I believe, before I turn it over. What questions do you have that I can answer real quick for you right now, or we can, write them down and bring them on in January. But I'm happy to answer any questions about what I've covered so far. What questions do you have, if any? All right.
I think it's pretty clear. I think putting into practice will be the challenge.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for me. Thank you so much. I look forward to diving deeper into some of the things that I shared with you, the meat of it, as Sister Clessa said, putting into practice. So that was just storytelling, and that was supposed to help you relax because you're telling something that's real to you and it happened. So imagine if you're trying to share that now with individuals that have no idea what you're talking about. What do you mean? What does autistic mean? Or, what do you mean? Where are you driving? What does that mean? Or any of it. So how do you break this down so that it's manageable and your audience, depending on who that is, will be able to take something away from it? And so we're going to talk about intro, body, conclusion, things that you probably are like, Shereen, that's basic. But when it comes to presenting, it's a little bit different because you have to look at it. You're not writing an essay. You're looking at, I'm going to be sharing this with individuals. So how does that sound and look and feel? And the way you write it is how it's going to come out. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to hearing more stories and working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Shireen. That was so exciting. And church, I don't know about you, but I was just really I we have some master storytellers. There are some stories that need to be told, and I'm so excited that we are on this journey. All right, my segment is simply talking about the equipment that you need in order to share the story. You can share the story in person, but we all have something in our possession today. Let me just share this little fact. Did you know that your phone has more computing power than the entire NASA program that put a man on the moon back in the 1960s and 70s? That's pretty amazing. And this is the time that we're living in now where that power is right at your fingertips. So, today we're going to talk about some of the equipment that you need in order to create and share your stories. First thing that we're going to talk about is the camera. Then we're going to talk about stabilizing the camera with a tripod. Then we're going to talk about briefly lighting, and then we're going to talk about editing. So the first thing that I want to share with you tonight is everyone has a camera. iPhone, whether it's an iPhone or an Android phone, the cameras today on any of the modern phones are pretty amazing. And if you want to tell a story, all you need to do is turn on that camera, hit the record button, and you're off to telling your story. Now, you may be like me. If you're like me, I know Brother Snell is right there with me. We're gear guys, Brother Rob as well too. So you can use your phone, but I like to use my DSLR. Any modern DSLR that has been purchased in the last 5 years or so can create video as well. But for this purpose and the stories that we're going to tell, you don't need to spend a cent. If you have a smartphone, you simply can record on your smartphone. Now, here are some of the things you should consider when you use your phone. Most of us like to use our phones holding it vertically, where it's the long ways up and down. When you're telling stories, because most of the devices that we consume content on is horizontal, I will recommend that the first thing that you do is film horizontally, unless you're planning to send stuff exclusively to a platform like Instagram, then a square format or a vertical format will work. But for the most purposes, the best type of content that you can create is horizontally because it gives the phone more scenery, background scenery. When you are recording, one of the things that you want to keep in mind is background noise. So, as we heard earlier, if you have static, if you have a washing machine, if you have a dog barking in the background, these things your mind tends to ignore, but when you put it in video, they seem to be louder for some strange reason. So you want to find a nice quiet place where you're going to share your story, where there's minimal noise in the background and your voice becomes front and center. Now, if you are really into gear and so forth, you can increase the quality of your audio. So your phone's going to give you a decent audio. So for sharing content in church and so forth, it will be okay. But if you want the pristine audio, you may want to invest in something like a dedicated audio recorder. Now, there are some that start at $99, and we'll talk about that at a later date at the training in February. You can spend anywhere from $99 to, don't even ask. It goes up to infinity from that point. But for the stories that we tell, most phones have a great microphone. Without spending any money, you can get great audio. Now, the key thing about your phone is that phones are light, but holding it in your hand, you may get some movement. So the next thing that you want to consider is a tripod. Now, this you may not have in your arsenal, or if you're a photographer or you're like Brother Rob St. Cloud, you probably have tons of tripods lying around. But you can get one that's a tabletop tripod. They're not expensive. They're $20, $30 at Best Buy. You can get a deal on one of those. But what that will do is allow you to plant your phone so that your hands can be free and you're not holding the phone in front of you. Or if you're using a camera, you can use your tripod. Any tripod that you get for tabletop surfaces or more will do the job very well. Now, the next thing that you want to consider is lighting. Lighting is very important. Think of your favorite TV show. I know all of us were Seventh day Adventists, so we only watch 3ABN. But even if you watch 3ABN, you will notice that everyone's face is evenly illuminated and there are no dark spots under the eyes. All of that is done with lighting. So for free, the thing that you can pay attention to is the lighting that the Lord has given you. And that lighting you find coming through the window. So if you're going to create content, I say pick a window where the sun is not shining directly through. So if it's in the morning, don't go to east window, go to a west window. If it's in the afternoon, go to east window. And if you want good lighting pretty much during the day, around here, a north window would work well because the sun usually does not come directly from the north. Then you'll see if you have drapes, like a thin drape, like what you see here in the photo, you want that as a barrier. And what that does is it softens the light. One thing I want you to pay attention to, go outside on a nice sunny day, 12 o'clock noon, and look at people in their faces. You will notice that everyone that you see has really dark eyes. And the reason is the sun is coming straight from the top and it creates these harsh shadows. Well, on a cloudy day, look at everyone's faces. You're going to notice that the eyes are not so dark. You don't have the strong shadows. It's because the clouds diffuse the light. And so this diffuser, which is a drape that you put in front of your window, will help immensely diffusing the light and creating that even lighting. The thing that you want to pay attention to the most is that your face is evenly illuminated. You don't want dark shadows, not under the nose, not under the eyes, but you want your face evenly illuminated. Now, lighting, you can use the free lighting that the Lord has given you, or you can invest in lighting. In February, we're going to talk about different price points for lighting. You can start anywhere from $50 and work your way up to infinity as the Lord blesses. And I believe that the Lord said that He has a cattle on 1,000 hills. So if you can dream it, He can provide for it. But we'll start with the free lighting. So that's it. Now, the last thing that you're going to consider is as you tell the story, everything that you watch on TV, on the internet, is usually edited. You'll notice as I'm speaking, even though I've been speaking English my whole entire life, there may be certain things that I could say better. And so if I were doing this training for recording, I would say, man, I'd like to do another take. Where with editing and all your devices, you can get an editor. You can go in and you can splice down and trim out all the ums and the hesitation and make your presentation sound nice and polished. So if you have an iPhone for free, you get iMovie. That's a good basic editor to start with. If you're on a Mac, you get iMovie as well. Now, before you say, Pastor, all you do is promote Apple and the gospel, I get it. I have a PC and that's what you want to say, and I'm still going to heaven. I believe you. And on a PC, you have Movie Maker that will be an editor as well. So my recommendation between now and then is just familiarize yourself with an editor. iMovie, Movie Maker. There's DaVinci. There's another editor out there. There's one for mobile devices. It's called LumaFusion. There are different ones, and we'll talk about them in detail. And if you spend an hour or two familiarizing with it, it will only help you tell better stories. And in telling your stories, you'll be able to add text. You'll be able to add B-roll if you've been watching the devotional videos that I create. And B-roll is simply additional videos that support your main narrative. And usually, as Sister Shireen said, most people's attention is getting shorter and shorter. So the days of watching one person talk for 30 minutes nonstop, those days are behind us. So in your video and in most great videos, every 10 seconds, the frame changes, the scenery changes. And what that does is as people are watching, it sort of brings them back into the story. Oh, what's going to happen next? And so we'll talk about that in detail and how to cut up and edit your first basic video. So that's a quick overview to let you know of some of the things we'll be talking about in February. And what we're going to do now is we're going to pause and we're going to open the floor for questions. Oh, there's another one. Try WeVideo. That's a great suggestion as well. So we're opening up the floor. Any quick questions about the equipment that you need to share the amazing stories that are within you? Not one question? Oh, right. Well, that is awesome. Very good. So this is, again, just the beginning. In February, we'll come back and go into greater detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the microphone to Brother Rob. Brother Rob, The floor. Oh, Sister Marcia asked a great question. Selfie stick. Let me take this on really quick. Yes, selfie sticks are great. The advantage with the selfie stick is you can hold the device close to you. Having a phone closer to you, the audio sounds better. So yes, a selfie stick is a great way to start. And if you're doing longer content, a tripod will then relax your hands so you can be more relaxed. But yes, a selfie stick would be good, especially for those gardening videos that we're going to be seeing pretty soon. Selfie stick will have you in the garden, the flowers behind you, in the scenery. It's gonna be great. I love it already. Any other questions? All right. No more questions. Brother Rob, take it away. Floor is yours.
All right, all right. So last but not least, we have sharing files. There are, as you know, there are many different platforms that we could choose from. But for sake of to kind of give you guys a little bit of direction, we chose to suggest WeTransfer. And actually, I can just get into it. So with that said, there's a couple of different file transferring platforms that you could choose from. Google has one that's integrated. There's Dropbox. There's OneNote, which is a Microsoft product. But like I said, all of them pretty much do the same thing. They all have a paid or free version, but the one we chose to focus on today is called WeTransfer. We did that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's free. All right, there is a paid option, but for what we're trying to do, the free option is going to suffice what you need it to do. Number two, it's very easy to sign up. All right, all you need is an email address. And if you already have a Google account, you can sign in with that. And for those of you who have a Slack account, which I know many of you do, you can also sign in with your Slack account. Okay. And then the number three reason is that it's extremely easy to use. It's as simple as going to WeTransfer.com, hitting the the create account button. For those of you who are signing up for the first time, you're just going to provide a couple bits of information, nothing too scary. First name, last name, email address. And once you're in, you'll be presented with a very small window. That window is going to have just a couple of fields. It's going to ask you to upload the file. So once you hit upload file, it'll give you an option to browse your system or your phone for the location of the file that you want to share. It's going to have an email to field, which will be your chance to enter the recipient of the file you want to share with. It'll give you a chance to give it a title, as well as an optional message to go along with the file. Okay, so if there needs to be any explanation of to what you're sending or a reminder for what you're sending, you could type that into the message. And last but not least, the transfer button. You hit transfer and that'll send the file to the recipient. Now, with that said, essentially what you're doing is you're sending a link to the file. All right, so this file sharing platform basically will serve as a host. They will host the file, giving you a temporary place to house it or to keep the file. All right, you will be sending the recipient a link to access that file. One of the criteria for using this free software is that that link is usually live for a certain amount of time. So for example, with WeTransfer, I believe it's about 7 days, but that should be more than enough time for whoever is going to receive the file to then download it and basically end the transaction. All right, so once they've received it, they can take it and do whatever they need to. And that should be the end of the process. So if you've made it this far, you can pat yourselves on the back because you've done the hard work already. This is really just getting the video to the person who's going to either be distributing it or taking in the content for whatever is going to be the next step for that video or content that you've produced. And I'm sorry. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. I see Joan Snell has a question. Do you still have a question?
So
I just wanted to ask for those who may not know, is this something that you can download on your mobile app? Is this something that can be downloaded from the computer using from a website?
That's a good question. I've only accessed WeTransfer on the computer. So I know that it is a website that is easily accessible, just WeTransfer.com. And then, like I said, once you signed up, you can simply browse and upload your content. There may be an app. Looks like Pastor's showing me that there is. All right, awesome. So with that said, yes, Brother Snow, there is an app for those of you who choose to go the app route. But don't be afraid of this. This is actually very, very simple. The interfaces are usually pretty self-explanatory, pretty intuitive. Any other questions? I think we have a question in the chat.
For the chat, yes, we're going to send out a notification on when the video is available. So if you subscribe to the Calvary Times, that you can get right from our website, calvarysda.com. You can subscribe right on the website, right panel, and make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter, because in the newsletter, we'll post a YouTube link to the training video that you experienced this week. And you'll hear everything else that's happening here at Calvary.
Brother St. Cloud, will the video clog up my phone? Will it slow it down, cause any problem with my phone? I'm not tech savvy, so just a question.
I think you're setting me up for a good question. I know you, but I appreciate your question. That is a great question. Depending on the capacity of your phone, yes, as you build a collection of videos, that can possibly affect the performance of your phone. So to offload those videos, this is a very WeTransfer is a good way to do that. We could go into a whole bunch of other ways to do that, but yes, offloading and creating this content. Yes, you will be creating larger files than you're probably used to. Even some of the pictures that I take on a normal Saturday, a snapshot can be a larger file. And at the end of a day, after 100, 200, 300 photos, yes, that can fill up my little memory card. So yeah, much like on your phone, the amount of space that those videos are taking can bog it down. So you may want to look at some sort of backup process or offloading process. But WeTransfer is a very key step to offloading that content. Very good question, Sister Mac. Very great question.
I think, can I just add that I think for people who are new to it, who aren't comfortable or familiar with WeTransfer, those who have Gmail accounts, iCloud accounts, Microsoft accounts, you can use some of the more familiar tools like iCloud, OneDrive, or Google Drive to offload. We may eventually have a training on how to move your files there for storage, or how to move it to an external thumb drive or external hard drive that you may have as well, just for backing up purposes, clearing space.
That's a great suggestion. Great suggestion. I appreciate you. And you sound pretty knowledgeable. We might have to
put him on the team.
We might have to do a little collaboration here.
Already recruited. Thank you for signing in.
It's done. It's done.
Sister Classette has been waiting. What's your question, Sister Classette?
Thank you. I wanted to know, the WeShare is just that for videos, or it's for also pictures?
That's a good question. That's a great question. No, it's not. It's not specifically made for videos. It's whatever files really
you'd like to put there. Now, correct. You had mentioned something about 7 days. And could you clarify a little bit? So when if I send a file with regards to WeShare, it's only good for, it only holds for 7 days?
Yeah. So, okay. So the main reason why we chose, or we're suggesting WeTransfer, is because we're talking about sharing large files. Mm-hmm. Anything small, you could honestly just send it through your email. But we know that as you're creating, or Slack, very, very nice. Well done. You get extra points for that.
I know.
Oh yeah. So the focus here is sharing large files.
Right.
And a lot of times your email the limitations for your email won't reach what you're able to send with WeTransfer. So that's why we're pushing WeTransfer. And then as far as the 7 days, it's really just, like I told you, you're uploading that content to the cloud somewhere and you're making it that available to someone else to download. That link essentially will expire after 7 days. So you got to remember, you're kind of borrowing space in that cloud.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving you space to share your files or your video for a span of 7 days. After the 7 days,
it's gone. Will I still have that file though, to maybe reset it if it's not accessible by my recipient?
Wow. I thought I got the easy end of this presentation. You guys are coming up with some great questions. All right. So great point. If you upload it to WeTransfer,
mm-hmm.
as long as that file is still on your device,
mm-hmm.
then it's not gone. But if you upload it and then you get rid of it on your computer
or phone,
correct, it would be gone.
Got you.
So it would still be available for the 7 days or whatever the time in the cloud. Once that link expires,
it's gone. So it's now for the recipient to ensure they download it, and then it will be permanent with the recipient.
That's a great point. So you want to stay in touch with whoever you're sending it to, make sure they get it. And then, like I said, maybe
they get it, Robert, once they get it, it's not a 7-day limitation. They have it pretty much forever because they're now.
Once they
so
have
now
it,
they're downloading it and saving it wherever they want to save it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
I think we're definitely going to touch on backing up. I know that
mm-hmm.
that can be a whole can.
That's a class. It's a whole semester.
Yeah, we could do a whole easily. But you're definitely thinking about it correctly.
Okay.
And it is secure being uploaded. It's encrypted, right? 128 bit or 256?
I believe so.
Very good. Very good. Well, as we can see, this evening has been exciting. We've shared some exciting information with you. And this evening was just to give you a teaser of what is to come. So again, you want to save the date. January 16th will be the next training. January 16th at 6 p.m., we will do the same training. And on the 16th, we're going to focus exclusively on scripting. So Sister Shireen will have the full presentation to go in great details on scripting. In February, we're going to talk about equipment exclusively. In March, we're going to talk about file sharing exclusively. And by the end of March, we're going to have all of our alumni, all of you who have signed up, we're going to have a deliverable where you're going to create your first video. And your video, you're going to introduce yourself. My name is, and this is why I love Jesus, or something along those lines. And then we're going to feature your video inside the Calvary Times. So we're looking for people are like, oh no, oh yeah. We have to share that everyone looks good. No. We're gonna make sure. Listen, if you don't want to share it, we're not gonna put your video that you want to put out there in front of the church. But so thank you all for coming. It is now exactly 7:00. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful night. I will just say a quick prayer as we dismiss, and you have a great night. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for everyone who's here on this call. And Lord, continue to inspire us to leverage the technology that's available at our fingertips to share the stories that you want us to share. Bless everyone who's on this call and keep us till we meet again. And it's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.